Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into one of the most talked about and honestly truly transformative technologies in the enterprise space right now. We're talking about SAP BTP, or the Business Technology Platform. We're going to explore exactly how this unified digital foundation is completely changing the sheer scale of how modern organizations build, manage, and scale their IT landscapes. So, whether you're an integration expert, an ABAP developer, or an SAP Basis Consultant, this explainer is built specifically for you.
Look, let's just address the elephant in the room and acknowledge the massive headache that enterprise IT teams, especially SAP Basis and integration consultants, face every single day. I mean, if you've been in the trenches, you know the absolute pain of trying to connect a sprawling web of completely separate legacy systems. It's like trying to keep a dozen plates spinning at once while blindfolded, right?
For years, doing things the old way meant we had to manage systems like SAP SEC, SAP PI, SAP BW, and SAP Portal in their own isolated silos. And what did that actually mean for the business? Well, it meant sky-high infrastructure costs, administration nightmares, and those dreaded weekend upgrades that required a massive war room of consultants just to pull off. But BTP steps in as the hero here. It centralizes everything into a single, comprehensive cloud platform. No more disjointed tools. Everything is finally speaking the exact same language.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, the messy legacy problem. Then, introducing SAP BTP. Under the hood with runtimes, SAP Basis and Security. A real-world integration example. And finally, the AI-powered future. Let's get into it.
Starting off with Part 1, the messy legacy problem.
You know, when your business is bogged down by managing multiple separate systems, you're essentially just setting money on fire with high infrastructure costs, and you're completely stalling your own innovation. We have all seen those brittle point-to-point integrations that just snap every single time one system in the chain gets an update. Rolling out new features ends up taking months instead of days. While BTP was designed from the ground up to eradicate these exact innovation bottlenecks.
Which brings us right to Part 2. Introducing SAP BTP.
Okay, if you take nothing else away from this, remember these two words: clean core. SAP BTP is your unified digital foundation where all your cloud services live. It's essentially a space that allows your organization to build new apps, integrate non-SAP systems, and automate workflows, all without ever having to touch or modify your core SAP ERP system. You keep the core perfectly clean, secure, and easy to upgrade. That means your next major ERP upgrade won't get completely derailed by thousands of lines of legacy custom code.
To actually pull this off, BTP sits on 4 massive pillars. First up is database and data management, which is powered by the incredibly fast in-memory SAP HANA Cloud. Next is application development, giving your devs the tools to build freely without messing with the ERP. Then you've got analytics, which handles your executive dashboards and predictive modeling. And finally, integration, letting you connect SAP to virtually anything else in your tech stack. It's literally every tool you need under one roof.
All right, let's look at Part 3, under the hood, runtimes.
Now, the beauty here is that BTP is truly developer-friendly because you aren't boxed into one corner. Got a team that loves multi-language microservices using Java or Python? Cloud Foundry is your go-to. If you're building containerized serverless apps on Kubernetes, you just spin up the Kyma environment. And what if you have a team of veteran ABAP developers? You use the cloud-native ABAP environment, which is affectionately known in the SAP world as steampunk, and that lets them build modern cloud apps without having to learn a completely new tech stack overnight.
So let's trace a simple user request through this architecture, just to see how it flows. A user interacts with an application. That request hits the BTP services and gets processed by one of those cloud runtimes we just talked about. From there, it securely queries the HANA Cloud database and, if it needs to, reaches right out to external systems like AWS, Azure, or Salesforce via standard REST APIs. It is incredibly elegant and highly scalable.
Moving right along to Part 4, SAP Basis and Security.
Now, I want to take a second to talk directly to the enterprise IT pros and SAP Basis admins listening right now. There's this huge and dangerous misconception floating around that BTP is just a playground for app developers and that basis roles are somehow disappearing. If you believe that, I'm about to change your mind. Your role is evolving, for sure, but it is definitely not evaporating.
Because honestly, basis administrators are the absolute backbone of a successful BTP deployment.
I mean, developers can't build anything if the infrastructure isn't there. Basis consultants are the ones handling the global and sub-account creations, managing complex identity authentication and configuring destinations. And perhaps most crucially, they set up and monitor the SAP Cloud Connector, which acts as a bulletproof, secure tunnel into your on-premise systems without poking dangerous holes in your corporate firewall.
BITP is definitely not the Wild West. You have a serious enterprise-level security toolkit at your disposal. You get granular control using things like identity provisioning, role collections, and trust configurations to ensure that only the right people have access to the right data. It's a completely locked down, heavily audited ecosystem, which is exactly what keeps enterprise security officers sleeping soundly at night.
Let's make this concrete in Part 5, a real-world integration example.
Just picture this. Imagine you have a business running its core on SAP S/4HANA. You're managing HR with SuccessFactors, tracking sales in Salesforce, communicating on Microsoft Teams, and hosting some data over on Azure. Trying to build custom point-to-point connections between all of these individually is just a total spaghetti code nightmare of chaos and maintenance. But by placing SAP BTP right in the middle to act as your central integration hub using the SAP Integration Suite, all those connections suddenly become standard, seamless, and centralized.
By routing everything through that BTP hub, the game totally changes. It dramatically lowers your total cost of ownership because you aren't stuck maintaining dozens of fragile, brittle connections. It offers high availability, allows for cloud-native rapid development, and, above all, it future-proofs your architecture. Think about it. If your company decides to swap out a third-party CRM vendor tomorrow, you only have to update one single connection to BTP instead of rewriting a dozen API integrations across the entire company.
And that leads us to our final section. Part 6, the AI-powered future.
SAP is absolutely going all in on making BTP the ultimate backbone for an AI-driven enterprise. They aren't resting on their laurels. We're already seeing them integrate SAP Joule, which is their natural language AI copilot, directly into the platform, meaning users can query complex business data just by asking a simple question. And with the Generative AI Hub and Business Data Cloud, developers can natively embed advanced machine learning and generative AI into custom apps with just a few clicks. It's a massive leap forward.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with a question to really chew on. Looking at the sheer power and capability of the SAP Business Technology Platform, is your legacy fragmented architecture holding your business back from its true potential? Or are you ready to build on a unified digital foundation that's actually equipped for the AI innovations of tomorrow? The choice and the future is in your hands. Thank you so much for joining me today, and keep exploring.